Greetings, everybody. I wanted to talk a little bit today about what do you do when you have strong feelings, you don't quite know what to do with them. Um, First, I wanted to explain who I am for anybody new coming along. I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write a column called No Longer Quivering for Pathos. For 10 years, I wrote this silly thing or edited other people's writings. If you could do the YouTube things, like, subscribe, that would be good. These are just my opinions, and don't bully anybody I'm about to talk about here. Um, Prairie, oh my goodness, you're back. You're back under your real name. Oh, your usual name, I should say, not your real name, your usual name. Hey, Ryan Hill, good morning from Costa Rica. I know it's evening where you are. Different account. Yeah, you're right. Your original account, right? I think maybe. I wanted to start first by saying that Tamale Golightly, I am so sorry that you're dealing with the death of your mother. The death of a parent is one of the most difficult, stressing, challenging, and it can be a wonderful, fulfilling thing too. If you, hey, Moonchild Pink, it could have moments that are wonderful too. At least that's what I learned when my father died. Losing him was terrible. Hearing all the people stepping forward and telling me about his many kindnesses and things he'd done was absolutely heart-filling. And I got to see a whole different side of him than I ever knew existed. I only knew the crazy side, the work side, the dad side. I knew those sides, but I didn't know quite how tenderhearted he was until I got to see that. Oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. That is something that I am kind of hoping I go first because I don't want to ever have to experience that. Especially here where I depend upon my husband for so much. I'm still operating in kind of pidgin Spanish, but I can get around, I can shop. That's about it. I can't have long philosophical discussions at all. Um, so just on the practical thing, if you passed away before me, it would be terrible. So you have my deepest sympathy for that. That is something that's really hard to deal with too, besides losing a parent, is losing your significant other in that way. And so Molly's mother died, and people are saying ugly things. Some people are saying, deepest sympathies. So I have nothing but deepest sympathies to say for her, towards her, and to pray that she gets through this in one piece, because that's another thing. You get bogged down in the grief. For me, the grief didn't hit me until months later because I had to handle everything. Yes, as a chronic illness warrior, I get a lot worse without him. He did everything. Yes, exactly. Yes, and that's what I'm worried about. I depend upon him. If it were not for him, I would have to move, and I would probably move into a condominium somewhere, either in Baltimore or Baton Rouge or somewhere like that, where I have relatives that can at least help a little bit. Okay, so what did I want to talk about today? I want to talk about big feelings and grief. Grief, especially. That's why I started saying, sympathies for Molly, because this is, oh, hey, Grace. This is a really hard thing to deal with, but there are layers of hard things and so many different things. Yesterday, I was going to do a live stream about some dumb cultural enforcer that was out there who had written a list of what he wanted in his wife, his future wife. But the list is what a list, if you were going to pick a dog at the pet store or something, it's not something that you would necessarily jump on for a human being. Sorry for Molly. I still hear my mom's voice in my head 33 years later. Love my grands. I still hear my father's. He died in 1999. And so many times I've said, Dad, I'm glad you're not alive to see this, and other various things. The hardest part was knowing I couldn't pick up the phone and call him again. So every time something bizarre would happen or I would hear a really good joke, I would almost pick up the phone to call him because he was somebody I would have called, and had to stop myself. I found this morning. I got to show you guys. It's a silver locket of a little girl in mourning putting her head on the chest of Jesus. And this is something that one of my aunts, my aunt Heap, gave me when my father passed. It did have a long, like rhodium coated silver chain that broke apart so many times I couldn't keep fixing it. It was a long, flat chain. So I'm going to have to come up with some way to wear this thing because I've got a lock of my father's hair in there. And this is one of those things that I really treasure. Um, yeah, may your husband rest in peace. Exactly. Sending you prayers of strength to get through the difficult time. So, anytime you have to grieve for somebody or something, it's hard. Yesterday, I sat down, I realized I hadn't heard from my stepbrother in a while. Now, we can go through 2 or 3 years of not hearing from each other and occasionally touching base because we're not close. We never have really been super close. And I know when he's using, I won't hear from him. I'm just going to throw that right out there. If he's using drugs pretty heavily, I will not hear from him. He will self-isolate. And I'm pretty much cut off from that side of the family from my stepmother because I caught her using my father's credit cards and opening new cards in his name 5 years after he died. And I had to put a stop to that. I put the death certificate in each of the credit reporting bureaus to stop her trying to open any more things in his name. And she has remarried, I think, 2 or 3 times since my father passed in 99 and has outlived each one of those guys. So I'm not even sure what her name is at this point. I gotta quit making the death shake. So here we are. So I'm thinking yesterday, I haven't heard from Francis in a while. I'm just going to call him that. That's not his real name. I haven't heard from Francis. What in the hell's going on here? You know, thinking about him. So I did like I always do. When I don't hear from him and he's just completely disappeared, I started Googling newspapers, and the newspapers in the parish that he committed the crime in, they busted him with 2 pounds of meth and like 6 or 7 other controlled substances. I saw that. I saw the charges were 2 counts of a Schedule 2 substance and a count of a Schedule 3. And then the trail ends. The trail ends. I'm not able to find anything more than that. Well, I found where he's at. He's at one of the major penitentiaries in Louisiana. I traced that he had gone from the facility in the parish he was in to East Baton Rouge Parish Prison and then to the penitentiary. But I can't find out anything about the trial. There's nothing on Pacer. There's not legal document 1 on Pacer, which is very odd because usually you can find Pacer pretty easily. And I've reached out to some people I know. I reached out to an attorney I know in Baton Rouge and a friend who's reached out to a private investigator of hers because I want to know how much time we're looking at Frank and Frank. His real name's Frank. How much time am I looking at? And exactly where is he doing his sentence? I'm kind of astounded that I can't find anything more than that, which makes me wonder if we rolled on somebody. And I hope not, because snitches get stitches in a lot of places. So Frank is a lot younger than me. He's like 12 years younger, and he has always struggled with substance abuse in the years. And I've seen him be clean for 10 years, fall off the wagon, various things. And I've seen him be busted for dealing. When my father was alive, my stepbrother, when my father was alive, he bailed my stepbrother out of trouble so many times. My husband and I, the last time he came up, we were on both sides of him, just giving him hell for that because I understand that he paid off a federal judge to keep him out at one point because my stepbrother had tried to bring a quantity of Bolivia marching powder across across the border. Who does that? And he got caught, but he never served day one. He served like a couple of weeks in parish prison. So now that my father is not there, blowing large stacks of money, keeping him out of prison, he's starting to have to pay for he's going through. Yeah, addiction is cruel when untreated. Sobriety of 7 years and counting. If you see this and want help, reach out. Prairie, I may well do that. Because here's the thing I'm going to say. Yesterday, I was really shut down by all of this, and I was weeping and crying and real upset. Whenever Frank has these things happen, he won't have anything to do with me. And when I go a couple of years, I don't hear from him, I know something bad has gone down. So I always try to reach out to him when I find out bad things have gone down. I write him whether he writes me back or not. Al-Anon is a goat. Yes, it is. I've gone to some Al-Anon meetings for family of alcoholics, and it's the goat. You're right. So he avoids me when he's in these states, when he's using and when he's in trouble, when he's gotten caught. But I always try to reach out to him. I always try to put a little money on his books because I know it's got to be tough, and I don't want to judge him. I don't want to say terrible because let's face it, addiction is a disease, and I think that's one thing that the U.S. does not get right or well. Addiction is disease, and diseases can be treated. Hey, T King, or they should be treated. That's why I'm kind of reluctant to go down hard on Michelle Goes Live, because I know that a lot of the bad behavior I'm seeing is being driven by addictions. At least it looks like it from here. And even that person I'm trying to never talk about, I think there's some addictive things going on with her as well. Adult child and alcoholic, Al-Anon has been integral in my sobriety. Prairie, I'm glad to hear that. That's helped me the times that I've gone. And I don't have a substance abuse problem. I never have. And I was actually really worried about taking Lyrica because it has a physical addiction component, and I don't like that. I don't like anything that you could possibly take that's going to make you become addicted to that substance. But for now, we're good. We're golden. And I know if I ever get off it, I got to slowly taper or I will be really sick, super sick. And so it was a lot for me yesterday. I was feeling a lot of really negative feelings. I was crying the whole 9 yards. So where is KJ? No question. She can't fool another junkie. Yeah. You hear that, KJ? Prairie is reaching out. If you want to reach out to her because you're dealing with stuff connected to possible addiction problems, there you go. Prairie, you're super kind about that. So where do you put these big feelings when you have them? Yesterday afternoon, about noon when this started, well, it started in the morning, but by noon I was in full crisis mode over this thing. I was freaking out. What I ended up doing, Lyrica has saved my, oh, yeah. Mother-in-law, it saved me too. It allows me to function without having too much pain to function, because before that, I had such severe nerve pain from the stroke that I was having difficulty dealing with things. Like I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't sleep more than a few hours because the pain was waking me up. Now I still have the pain on the left side, but I don't really care. Lyric just makes it where it doesn't impact me. So I had all these big feelings yesterday, and they're all big negative feelings. And it was just bumping up the negative feelings that I was feeling, because today is Palm Sunday and I can't go anywhere near the churches here because of the dog issue. So I was feeling cranky to begin with, and then to add that on, survival. I have to share the message of recovery with those who would hear it. I have to give it away to keep it. Besides, I won't begrudge anyone to help, ever. Prairie, I hear you. I'm the same way. That's why you'll see me sometimes do a hot take on somebody that everybody hates and say, hey, yeah, they are human and we need to help them, or we need to at least treat them more kindly, because I feel the same way. There, instead of thinking but for the love of God, I go, it's like, there I go, because I'm no different than that person. And yeah, reasons why we're friends. You've definitely got that one right. You've got that one right. So, big feelings. What do you do? Yesterday, I did something that I like to do when I'm having big feelings and I'm having difficulty dealing. I took the entire afternoon off. I didn't do anything. I didn't go online. I didn't try to write. I didn't try to edit my book. I didn't try to do anything. I went out to the pool for a nice long stretch. After I cooked a really nice lunch, I went out to the pool for a nice long stretch. I sat in the hot tub for an hour. I know I look like a wrinkly prune afterwards, and my skin is like, ugh. But I needed that. Um, the electricity went off before sunset, just before sunset, instead of about an hour. I sat outside and read, and I watched the bats waking up and going around. I watched the parrots do their last flyby before they go to bed for the night. Water is so soothing to the whole being, not just physically. Prairie, there is something magical about water. And I think that's another reason why I'm so in love with the beach, because of the water aspect of it. Even though I don't have the balance to go out there in the waves much anymore. I might put that cane one day to see what happens. Um, so there's just something that's absolutely healing about it. I got out and watched the parrots and then the bats. And then I came inside and watched a little Star Trek and worked on my quilt before going to bed and laying in bed and reading. It was a good afternoon. I feel refreshed and restored this morning. So I'd like to encourage you to do whatever it is you need to do when you have those big feelings. I know I'm going to be carrying the pain of some of this for a long time. I know the issue with my stepbrother Frank is a long one. It's something that's been going on for years. Frank stays in touch with me when he's sober, when he's working on sobriety. When he's not, he doesn't. And I trace that back to when Frank first started having his problems, and I was at my old church and was all judgmental and writing letters about turning to Christ. I'm not like that anymore. And I have to write him a letter explaining why I'm not like that anymore, because I don't think he gets it. And today being Palm Sunday, I wish I could be in church today. Palm Sunday was a Sunday that Jesus rode a donkey into Jerusalem, and people were throwing palm branches in front of him, which is something that was done for royalty and dignitaries in that day for some reason. I was reading something about those, I forgot what it was. So today is one of those days when I really miss church, and I know next Sunday is going to be too. But at the same time, I know that nobody here gives a rat's patoot about my disability accommodation. So I'm staying home. I'm staying home. I've done nothing to prepare for Easter. I might this afternoon put some things out, but it is kind of heartbreaking in a way. It really is, to be cut off from that. Maybe I'll take a chance and go to the Catholic Church, because I cannot see the priest allowing dogs. I just can't see that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it seems like that would be something that the priests would be not want to do. And the sadness of all of this is that my first church here, the pastor saw how I reacted to dogs and he banned them. When they bullied him out, that was one of the things they did immediately, was allow the dogs in. Catholics may fire up the incense. You know, I've not reacted to the incense, Perry. Not like dogs, not like cigarette smoke, but not like a lot of other different things here. So I may take a chance and go. When we were Cope de Dota, I would go to the Catholic Church, and it was all in Spanish. And I can get the gist of what was said, but I didn't always get every word they were saying. I have tasks today. I'm writing a new song right now. I haven't done that in a long, long time, but this just came to me this morning. So I'm writing a song. It has to do with the church and being pretty much an outsider, and Christ's own words on that. The other thing I'm doing is I'm using this duct tape that's got a wood grain to seal my windows in my bedroom so that the smoke doesn't get in here when they're burning, because everybody here burns their leaves. Nobody puts them in bags. Nobody mulches them. I found out that mulching causes tremendous mold. And I'm due tonight to go with my husband to do our favorite thing on Sunday evenings. We go see a friend of ours band play at one of the local beachside bars. I will get to hunt for sea beans before the sun goes down. Take photographs, another thing I love, as it's going down, and then listen to music. Drink. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. That's really all I have to say. Again, Molly, go lightly. I feel really, nothing but sympathy for you right now, what you're going through, and I hope you make it through in one piece. Love you guys. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys later.